Hello, everybody. How you doing? Yours truly here, Ryan Foley. I'm back with the podcast series. Different setup today. Uh, Thought I'd change it up for a bit. The weather's turning, so we thought we'd come into a nice room with the windows and get some nice bright lighting here. Anyways, so today we have on two great friends of mine, Allison Toffan and Juliana Kelly. They are going to be here talking with us about what they're doing, all the things you're curating, the stuff that they've been developing and producing through Toffan Rhythm Projects, and lately they've been connecting with a lot of dance studios and studio owners, just talking about other things outside of comp world and how to help get your dancers. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not going to say for sure, which is what we're going to talk about today. Just helping these dancers understand more about what else is out there and how to curate these things. Even writing grants. Allison is a grant writing master, believe me. I mean, her and I and Jules, we've been performing together for at least 15 years now, and 90% of the shows that we've done that Allison's produced, she's gotten grants for herself. So she's got a lot of knowledge, and yes, they are professional tap dancers. They're wonderful teachers, dancers, performers, but they're creating a great community and building a lot of work for people to move forward with. So I wanted to bring them on today to help talk about that, to maybe give you guys some insight on, if you wanted to pass any information on to your students, or if they were interested in moving forward. There's a place that they can do that as well. So we're going to bring Allison and Julian, and we're going to get down to chatting. Hope you enjoy it. And here they are, ladies and gentlemen, the people of the people, my people, Allison Toffan. Do you want Tanchuk Toffan or just Allison Toffan?
I mean, I've been married for 10 years this year, but I have not. I've actually changed my name, and my professional name will always be Toffan. I mean, like,
Okay, Allison Toffan and Juliana Kelly,
Hello.
aka McIntyre.
Yeah, but still Kelly.
You're going to hear me refer to them as Toff and Jules because that's just how we roll. So anyways, welcome. Thank you for being a part of this. I think this is my 11th podcast I've done since we started.
Well done.
Thanks for being on board. Yeah, man, thanks. Just chatting about good stuff. So in the intro, I was telling these guys that I just think what you guys are curating, what you're doing, since the very beginning has been amazing. You're providing platforms like crazy for dancers. And I know it's based in tap dance, but I think now, like, Todd, the last time we were talking, you were telling me about, and I could be not bang on correct, but like what you've been doing to help the community of dance teachers and studio owners, kind of like just a broader picture on things that you're focusing on. So we're going to get into that. But the first thing I want to ask you guys is just like, how this all started. If you want to go back to Toffan Rhythm Projects beginning, or back to TRI. I mean, I know already how it all started because I've been around, but to share with the people just where it all began, how, why, and how we all met, and go.
It's wild that it's 15 years ago. This is our 15th year. It's quite a milestone year.
Crazy.
Okay, so a bunch of us were in a room for the first time together that, like, we knew of some of, but we didn't really know each other. And Diane Montgomery produced a workshop. It had to be 2010, or was it 2011? I don't know. For saving.
I think it was 2010.
I think it was 2010. Yeah.
Well, I know it was at the beginning of the year.
Jules, you in that workshop with us? You were there, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So like there was pockets of us that knew each other, and there just wasn't a whole bunch going on. I remember Travis and I tried to get jams going for years. Like there's a lot of trying and trying and trying. Started working at the Rec so I could make friends with musicians, and that's the foundation of a lot of our
Jazz Club in Toronto, for those who don't know.
Yeah. But yeah, Diane, our friend Diane, produced this workshop, and suddenly we're all in a circle and we're like, how come we don't know each other? How come we're not dancing? So that night I was like, yeah, it had to be 20. No, guys, it was 2011 because
Are you sure?
because you all came to my apartment at Lansdowne, and I moved to Lansdowne at the end of 2010. And that was at the beginning. It was like in like January or February for sure. It's the top of 2011.
Wow.
Yeah. for sure. I know this for sure.
Okay.
So I was like, hey, come over to my house. I built a floor in my apartment. So I had like a tiny little bedroom that we built a floor in. Let's jam.
Mhm.
So everyone came over. I think I have a picture, Julie, of you, like your legs. If we
Yeah,
used
and
to
my
wear,
very questionable track pants that I used to wear all
yes.
the time. Yeah.
Yeah, we
Mhm.
wore very baggy. I mean, baggy's
Very
bad.
baggy then.
I still wear
Yeah.
them, man. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, you never got out of baggy.
Nope.
No,
I
never.
know Andrew's always on me about it, but
Um, yeah, but we had a little jam and then we all connected. And then I was like, hey, do you guys want to do this every couple of weeks? And everyone was like, yep. So
Mhm.
we got together at Mad for Dance, which doesn't exist anymore, but that was our foundation, was this little dirty basement studio. And then um yeah, then it was like, do you want to do this every week? And everyone was like, yep. And then I was like, hey, I have this idea. And I emailed out like every tap dancer I knew. And I said, I want to start this thing. I want to call it Toronto Rhythm Initiative because I want it to be like a force. I want it to be like a plan and a thing that we can do together and we can grow. And let's start like collaborating and build a platform so that we can have an audience to build work.
Mhm.
So I grabbed friends from the Rex that were great players, and then I said, okay, everybody, let's pick a band and let's explore a band's music and let's create our own jazz arrangements from that band and let's get it filmed and let's get pictures and let's just go. And we started that. And then we kind of didn't stop. We had a lot of momentum in the first couple of years because it just became this
We
force
were
because
doing
everyone
three gigs a year, weren't we?
three or four. Yeah. And then we would kind of get other like offshoot things that were happening and we just kept going. And then we did like a class before where we rotated and we all just like dropped down $10. We jammed. And then sometimes those jams got so big that like we're like, no one's
I
getting a
know.
chance to say anything.
Yeah, I
But
was like, we
like,
got to
Yeah.
go like once a tune because it was like a good problem to have. But I remember I was like, damn, this is like, because I remember when the sheds were tiny and we'd sweat our what's off, but like then it got super big and it was like, yeah, one time around. But I mean, I get it. Everyone wanted to be there, right?
yeah. And then we're like, well, what I found really interesting was that I kind of just thought that everybody knew what I knew, or I didn't know that I had more at that time. Let's be very clear. At that time, I didn't know that I knew more about like music arranging, like
Mhm.
putting together tunes than anybody
100%.
else. Like I remember our early conversations fully, like just explaining to you how brilliant you are because you didn't really understand like your phrasing. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, I
Like
didn't know.
it was so crazy just to be around how like musically brilliant you are, but not understanding necessarily how it related at that time, and then
Yeah.
seeing how like you've built from there. So it was really cool just to share that and go, okay, well, if you guys don't know that, then they don't know that in the studios.
Okay, time
So
out. Before we go on, I just want to say to the people that are watching this or listening while you're cleaning your house, because I know that happens, I've been told. Um, if it wasn't for meeting these two people and getting the humble pie by these guys and learning from Toff and dancing with these guys, it changed my life as a artist, as a person, and a dancer, 1000%. So we don't
Yeah.
see each other every day now because we have families, we have lives. But like you are two of my best, closest friends that I'll ever have, and I'll never forget that. And dancing with you anytime, any day would always happen. So I just want to put that out there
Yeah.
because it's really important that people know it was so huge for me. I couldn't wait for Sundays, man. I just couldn't wait.
no.
Okay,
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
sorry,
can I
sorry.
yeah.
can I can echo that too because like when I came into TRI, like I didn't know anything about anything. I was just like, I love tap dance. This is cool.
Go green, yeah.
And then yeah, we'd be in a circle and Allison's like, all right, we're gonna go for 8 bars. And I'm like, wow, can somebody count that for me? Like I was so green with
Yeah.
everything. And it was like the early days of TRI was such a formative time for me, just kind of like exposing me to the truth and the culture and all of that. I had no idea that side of tap dance existed. I don't know where I would be if I hadn't have found you guys.
Amen.
Yeah.
Well, it's just it's just so wild because it was like this perfect storm of everybody wanting the same thing at the same time.
Yeah,
When we
right?
all wanted it so badly for so long but didn't know how to cultivate it.
Mhm.
So, like I'll skip ahead just for 1 second, but part of what Julie and I are trying to do now is just talk about who we are and our values and like part of these like posts that we're putting out there to be like just do it. Like you just got to put the things out in the world because you have to be ready for when people respond because you don't know when it's going to be because
Mm.
trust that if you think something is cool, somebody else does too. But the way you're going to go about your life and building projects and building work and expressing yourself and your curiosity, it's not going to be linear and it's not going to look like somebody else's experience. So
Mhm.
it's just so cool to like go back and think about this and talk about this because we were all like kind of satellite connected, but we didn't even know. And it took that one workshop and that one, hey, let's do this, and me going, I think we should do this. And
Mm.
I drained my RSPs. Kids don't do that. Well, maybe do. I don't
Wow,
know.
did you
Because
really?
I did. So how else are we going to pay for the venue? How else are we going to pay musicians? We needed to start. I didn't have any startup funds. I was working at the Rex. I didn't have anything.
Hmm.
I lived in that like crappy little apartment on Lansdowne
The
that became
best.
that little tap central when Johnny and Mackenzie moved. It was just such like a beautiful
I
drop
remember
of
doing band rehearsals in your living room, man.
yes.
Yeah,
It was the best.
it
Everyone was
was so
scrunched
fun.
in. It
Yeah,
was so fun. Like there's
yeah.
pictures of those early days. Like there's just something so beautiful about that formative time because we were just all in. We were there on Sunday. We hung out before. We hung out after. We went and checked out a jam. We sat in with the bands. Like we were so immersed in the culture of what we wanted to learn, how we wanted to grow, who we wanted to be around. There was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And
Yeah.
we were lucky that we had the flexibility in our lives, or we built the flexibility. I remember just saying to work, I was like, I'm not available on Sundays.
Yeah,
I'm not,
same.
Me too. Yeah,
and it changed everything because like we made that commitment and we
yeah.
showed up for each other. And a lot of blood, sweat, and tears along the way. A lot of mistakes happen, a lot of interpersonal, you have to go through that life stuff to figure out the right way to do things, and a lot of mistakes were made. But I think the thing that has always kept us strong is that we have the same value system and we have the same goals. And we know at the end of the day, we're all working towards like aligned things. Not,
Hmm.
I'm about to say the same thing, but it's not the same thing. Because again, I feel like our goals have really changed in what we're doing. But sorry, I squirreled. See, like put on the timer. Oh
Dude,
my
it's
God.
all good, man. That's what you're here for. I love when you squirrel.
Oh, damn.
She's the
So,
queen of the squirrel.
oh God, I'm a huge squirrel.
Well, listen, I mean, it's true though. Like those days were informative and they've helped us, very often. And not just to be cheesy, but like I was shedding yesterday. My room now to shed is the boathouse, which is kind of funny. And I think about that very often. Like I don't know what I would do if I couldn't tap dance and feel about it the way I feel now. And
Yeah.
like,
Mhm.
when someone says, you always ask someone, "Oh, so what do you do?" I try to think about it more like, "Who are you?" Right?
Yeah.
Is what you do who you are. And like, yes, Andrew and I run Signature Dance, but I'm a tap dancer. I say that before I say, and we have a business. I don't talk about that unless the conversation goes further. But like how I feel about things, what I feel and why I feel is because of who I am, and because who I am, and tap dance has helped direct who I am. 1,000% it has.
Mhm.
You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And
Totally.
it all comes down to the lessons of those years, and it's amazing, man. It's some cool shit.
Yeah. It's wild. It's also wild just getting older and seeing the ones that we've trained through like our system
Yeah.
now teaching and taking jobs that like we are passing on, and I'm really proud. I'm really proud of that.
Mhm.
It's
Um,
awesome. Even
yeah.
this morning, I got a text and it was like, I need judges. And I'm like, "Brip, brip, brip, I got some people, and it's a lot of the people that have come through our program and they're now out teaching, they're now out adjudicating. Like when we have, like you said, when we have a job and we're like, I can't do this. We have
Yeah.
people to pass that on to that we really
Yeah.
trust.
Yeah.
I just had one of my former students send me a video of a solo she choreographed or a duet she choreographed. She's in university now, and they have these university things, right? And just it's cool when your students like would check in on you even after you don't teach them all the time, or like
Mhm.
Miriam would come
Yeah.
for a shed at the house after, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's just cool. French, he never swings by without saying hi, or they'll just send me a message, or even core, like they all. It's just cool to have that connection. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And you know what's crazy, guys? Again, I'm scrolling now. So this signature dance and the whole adapt and the syllabus and Jules, we were talking before Toph came on about how we're trying to change the culture of what the exam process is. I don't think I would be able to implement what we're trying to implement in the way that we are had I not had this connection with you guys. Like, for
Mm.
instance, even changing the name to dynamic ballet, because now what I know now about jazz dance compared to the appropriated jazz dance, if that's what we want to call it, do you know what I'm
It's
saying?
true.
Like,
It is.
you
That's
know, it
accurate.
Yeah, it
totally
is.
is,
You're not wrong.
right? And not that it's a bad, like, it's beautifully, if it's done right, it's sick, but what are we calling it, right? Like, having that knowledge and that foundation and that core understanding is really helping Andrea and I move forward in this, like, this structured curriculum. How can we help people understanding? And not that we're the best one out there, but we're just trying to do our best, right? But
Yeah.
being connected with you guys all these years ago and all this dancing we've done and this learning, I don't think I would have done it. There's no way. I'd be bullshitting if I didn't, and I couldn't do it
Same.
that way. So the
Yeah.
gratitude runs so deep, right? So we could talk about that forever, but I don't know, Jules, if you want to jump in, like, so because TRI was first, right, and then Toffan Rhythm Projects came after.
Yeah.
I just remember seeing the name all of a sudden. I was like, oh, cool.
Yeah, so we went going with TRI. We realized like I early on, and I'm saying I because I started this on my own, and then like we all got so close, and
Yeah.
then Julie was just so instrumental in getting kids to pay attention to what we were doing. So then we started like a youth program in the summer, and it went through a couple different phases of what we were trying
Yes.
to do, but just different faculty, getting them to be a part of our show, getting parents seeing kids working with live music. That was completely new
Hmm.
at that time to our community is we're not doing anything new. We're just putting our curiosity out there and our
Yeah.
exploration out there for people to check out. So we like don't own these ideas. We're just going, here you go. And that hadn't been done here in this way. And it worked really well. And it was always full of Julie's students. And as we continued to build, and as people started to break off and do their own thing, and that was always the point, it was like, okay, I don't think we need 3 or 4 shows anymore a year because now it's getting really challenging to figure out how to keep doing all the other things. Or like people would contact us and go, can you do this gig or this gig? And it became really hard to figure out, well, who's on the gig,
Uh-huh.
when it was this whole community movement. So it kind of can be confusing to sort out how to navigate that. And it became really challenging also interpersonally because we all had like ownership in it. So it just became a different thing. That's why I love that we called it Toronto Rhythm Initiative off the bat because it's something that can always be ebbing and flowing and changing with what we can respond to, right, within the work. So Julie came on in 2016 to co-produce, and like that was our first sold out year. It just blew up because
Yeah.
like our skills just kind of go like this.
Yeah, you guys definitely do. 100%.
And I had a lot more like of a foothold in like the studio world too, because I had been
Yes.
teaching, and I mean, I still do. I'd been teaching so much. And like Allison said, in the early days, like I was just harassing my students to go to TRI. Like I was like, you need to go to this. And I was like handing flyers out to the parents and giving like information sessions because I believed in it so much. I was attending myself. I wasn't even on faculty. I just wanted to be there to learn. And I was like, I have so many curious students that are going to love this too. And so then in 2016, when Allison was like, do you want to come on as co-producer? It was the easiest yes ever. Probably shouldn't say that since I'm married. That was my easiest yes. And then
Okay, Mark, she still loves you.
but anyway, but yeah, it was such an easy yes because I was so invested in the programming. I believed in it so much. And I was like, 100% I want to do this. And yeah, it's just kind of taken off from there.
Yeah.
Wow. And now look how it's built. Like, I remember in the beginning, we were like, okay, are people going to show up to these gigs? Now it's 2 shows a day and people are lining up around the block.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
it's pretty
That
wild.
goes to show like the visibility of like the program has
Hmm.
developed a lot. And
Yeah.
I mean, giving kids an opportunity to perform is huge. Like parents are invested in that experience, so that might get them in the door, right? And then also partnering with competitions to give scholarships away. We've done a lot of that. We haven't done that this year because we're just in a different stage of what we're building.
Hmm.
It's a little the scholarship situation is a little bit more personal this year. Um, it's just. It just helps to get them in with something like there's a loop egg and we kind of hook them with that and then they have this incredible experience and then we have some kids who are like, I'm not into this. This was crazy and hard and overwhelming. And we have other kids who are like, oh my God, I want more. How can I find this? And a lot of them will end up at Rhythm Ensemble, which is Julie's company, right? Which is completely aligned with TRI. So there's offshoot things that people can be involved in and stay connected to. And then it's just a yes and kind of situation that it serves what's going on in the competition landscape, you know? And it's like once you know, you can't not know kind of thing.
Mm.
So you asked about Toffan Rhythm Projects. I had to create that business at first because we moved on to then start producing a festival. So the
Right.
first festival was in 2017, and that was like the next stage of development of, okay, now we've got this community of interested people. Now we've got work brewing and established. Now we have all these amazing artists in consistent collaboration. Why aren't they being why aren't we being presented? Why isn't tap dance being presented on a regular basis? And it was kind of at the same time as like you look at globally what was going on like in the movement. Michelle Dorrance was taking off with her company. So she was doing so much good work for visibility in the concert world,
Mm.
you know, and so many people doing so many things. That's just like the big one that drove a lot of force that we saw being booked a lot. And I was like, why aren't we creating full-length shows?
Yeah.
You know, and every festival is different, but the festival vibe generally with tap is show up, take from a million teachers, see them perform on stage. It's an excellent showcase, but that's a show that can't tour. That's a show designed for people who are already interested in tap dance. And if we're thinking about building audience and building entry points and how tap can be programmed, well, how does it live? You could be a tap dancer in a band as a percussionist. How many people are working that way? Tons.
Mhm.
You can have a company where you're developing work and it can get programmed in a season or tour festivals. You know, like there's so many ways that tap belongs in the professional milieu, right? Like we need to be, I know
Wow.
for true, we
It's
need to
very
be
French.
we need to be on that platform presenting incredible artists. So I was like, let's start commissioning people. Let's start doing little sections of work to get it happening and then bring in headliners and put them on the same platform and go, hey, see, check it out, go tour and start creating opportunities and building work and building careers, not just an experience, right? So that started in 2017. I did that one alone, even though Julie was helping me with TRI. That one was like it was a good start, but Mama lost some cash. Again, like every time something starts, like you have to be ready to learn and lose. So
Yeah.
that was really hard, but it was formative. I just consider it like, well, that was my university education on producing and
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
it takes and what it is. And so it was supposed to be every 2 years at that point because every year is just wild, but we didn't get one of our major grants in 2019. So we're like, oh, we'll just postpone. And I was super pregnant. Not yet, actually. I was pregnant, but I wasn't super pregnant. So I was like, let's just postpone. No, I wasn't pregnant until, well, it was later in 2019. But we postponed, we created another event. We had Diane Walker here. It was beautiful. We had the most amazing time. It was like low pressure. It
That
was
was so
great.
fun. Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was such a good weekend. Yeah.
Yeah, and like just showed how interested everybody was and how again we wanted to build. And then the pandemic hit the year we were supposed to postpone once, and then we didn't have another festival until 2022.
That's right.
But the time that we did, we were able to create a mini documentary on TRI. Everybody, you can check it out. It's a 30-minute documentary. We
So
talk
good.
about this. It's really fun to talk, just to go back and look at what we did in the beginning and from everybody's perspective,
Mm.
or most, not everybody. That was, yeah. Anyways, see, timer. Where's the timer? The timer.
Running.
Yeah. But yeah, so the
I
festival
love
started.
it.
So now the festival is every 2 years. We're gearing up for our next one. It's going to be, we're ironing out details because, again, one of our major grants didn't come through, but we're still able to present something and we're really happy about it. We have an outreach initiative now, and that has been like, go, stop, go, stop. So we're trying to figure out how to navigate that world of presenting tap dance and workshops and entry points to underserved areas. The project that you were asking us about at the top, we called that the Creative Impact Forum, and we sat down,
Yes.
curated groups
That's the
once
one.
a week for 3 months, talking about resistance, talking about what are you struggling with? We're struggling getting bums in seats for the show that doesn't include kids. Why? Why are we not checking things out? Why is enrichment going to see professional work not a part of training these days? Like it was big questions. And then
Mhm.
musicians that we work with, what are they struggling with? Like, what would make them want to come out? Like, and from different generations of where they're at in their careers.
What do you guys think though? Like, what do you guys think is stopping people in our industry from continuing that professional development, whether it's in any way, shape, or form, like going to see gigs? What do you think it is? Like, I don't actually have an answer to that.
There's a lot of factors.
Demographic, is it financial? Is it, I mean,
financial,
financial,
time,
that's always a thing. It's the might of
right?
money. It's scary, but
financial time. The other thing is like people are so overscheduled now
yeah,
that like it's just really, really difficult for people to carve out time.
that's a good point.
For some people, it's just like also just like maybe not even knowing what's going on or not knowing
Yeah.
well, what is this event that you're putting on and how does this apply to me? And so making sure that our messaging is really strong. But there's so many factors that come down to it. But honestly, the biggest ones are just like time and money. And I get it. Like for those of you that don't know, Allison and I both have two very young kids. So we're in the thick of things right now.
Yeah.
While trying to get all of this going on. And neither of us live in Toronto anymore. You know, we've both moved out into the boons so that we can have houses for our families and stuff. So it's really challenging even for us to show up to things, which is such a hard thing because we think back to 10 years ago, we were there all the time. And it's really hard to balance all of that. So I do understand. And I do have a lot of sympathy for people that are like, I'd love to come, but
yeah, it's a real thing. Hey.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Life is lifing. You know what? Just on that note, what? Was that really good?
What did you
That
say?
was cute. Yeah.
I
She
said life is lifing.
Nice.
But like when I'm funny, I'm so surprised and I'm so happy about it. It's really fun for me because Julie's the funny one. So
You're both
judging
funny.
on the weekend, I haven't judged. I've been out of the studio circuit for a little bit, and at one of my sessions, I wanted to talk about our program, and they were so supportive of it, which was great. But it was more than a plug. It wasn't like just come check out our program, right? It was like, when's the last time you went to go see a show? Asking a sea of kids waiting for their special award. And a teenager was like, I think I was 3. And I was like, that's a problem.
Wow.
So it was such a beautiful opportunity. Like the whole weekend, it was a great weekend, but the whole weekend was worth that one conversation to say, let's consider that enrichment is a part of your training. Let's go do summer training programs. Hey, come to my program. That's kind of how I tagged it in. I was like, come on, I produce, and I make sure I shout out my best friend. I was like, my best friend Juliana Kelly and we produce this program where you can blah, 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 blah. And then I was like, imagine if your dance was with a band live, it's a different experience. And there was a couple of kids that have been before. So they loved that I said that or whatever, because they knew what I was talking about. So that was fun to just give them that little tidbit of just imagine this, this is what this is in real life. This is what the professional world looks like. But it was cool to say, whatever you're into, if you're into ballet, go to see the ballet. If you love musical theater, go see a Mervis show. But I said, the independent who really needs your support is those independent artists creating their own work, right? And that's probably your teacher. Your teacher is going to be involved in something. They need you to show up. You need to understand what inspires you and who is driving your training and what's actually possible for you. There is an ecosystem here that's ready to support you if you want a career in this. And if you don't have to. That's awesome. We need all different levels of engagement. Not everybody here should or will want to be a professional dancer. But if you want to see what professional tap dance looks like, we've got a festival. You should come, and that is just as important as showing up to the next workshop, and just being able to say that to kids and parents to go, huh?
Yeah.
How many times are you on this stage to win 99.9? I can't do it. Julie, what's the award?
Teen Ultimate Miss Starfish 1992 with a triple ruby diamond award.
There you go.
I've said that far too many times. It just really rolls off the tongue.
Yeah, I'm like, I try to emulate. I can't. I know. Full as
that's good, man. But you know what? It's funny. They it's not real life. No, yeah, that's a whole different podcast, man. Which is another conversation coming down the pipeline eventually. They would definitely make sure they go to that comp or that convention rather than go to see. For sure. And I wonder if it's just because of the culture they're wrapped up in. They're just wrapped up in that
100%.
culture. and they're not opening their minds up to anything else. You know what I'm saying?
100%. Yeah.
That's the culture within their studio. It's the culture within all they know. And the parents too, you know, the parents are drunk off the Kool-Aid, man.
Well, that's all they've been presented. And even
Yeah.
studio owners, they're burnt out. We can't fault them. They're just trying to keep their business going.
100%.
And if they don't give that kid three solos and then the next kid three
It's
solos,
the culture
like
you create within your
you can't
studio,
go
what your
backwards,
values are. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
And
also think that like the competitive landscape has like kind of like slowly snowballed to get to that point where like we
Oh,
used
yeah.
to go see shows. There used to be, you know, studio trips to go do this, and competition wasn't like the be all end all, but like especially in Ontario and GTA, that really is all there is. Now
Yeah.
there are things popping up now that allow for other opportunities, but so much of how these dancers and parents know how to like succeed as a dancer is through that very limited kind of frame of
Yeah,
reference.
totally. When I was a kid, guys, like I remember being at the studio when I was younger. This was back when my parents ran it. And I always when I think about it now, I feel like most of the things that their students, the older ones especially, were getting ready for were for shows and performances, not competition.
Yeah.
There was always a gig that my dad was doing with his students, and it wasn't comp. There were maybe a couple. I don't even remember, but there were a few. But it was always a show or a gig or a TV show or something going on. You know what I mean? But now, you know, I hear what you're saying for sure. So, I mean, oh God, you have these questions and then you veer off. I don't know, Jules, if you want to talk about the rhythm ensemble real quick. What inspired that? Were you inspired to do that because of just our hangs and just how everything grew and just because it's really
Yeah.
blossomed into like quite something. Like it's huge.
Yeah, I never thought it would be where it is today. Like it was really just like a small passion project that I always had in my brain. So going through what I did with you guys, and like I said, like I didn't know what a bar was. I didn't know how to count music. Someone's like, okay, do this many bars. And I'm like, okay, wait, divide by 2 from a count of 8. And that means like, you know,
Do you remember
everything
those
that I
days
learned.
not knowing? Oh, Foley, you swing so heavy. I'm like, is that
You're
good
like,
or
I
bad?
do. Is that good?
I know.
I'll never forget Falls, you being like, all right, we're gonna do some triplets, and then like you looking over your shoulder and doing it, and I was like 60. Oh. And you were like, oh, okay, cool, great, whatever.
So I just didn't have that knowledge.
Who did I like? So none of us did. I feel like Allison was the only one who did.
Totally.
okay, but before we go on, I have to play credit where it's due. It's not like I just like knew everything, right? Like I grew up.
Oh, you put your time in.
Yeah, but I grew up in a musical household, so I was always learning music alongside learning dance,
Fair.
right? And my first like true real mentor was Paula Skimmon. And Paula is the one who
Paula.
put me on stage with live music. And I like the first time, you guys know what it feels like. Like it feels like you've just been electrified and there was no turning back. So I met Paula when I was going to Sheridan. I moved out here to go to Sheridan. I thought my life would be in music theater, right? So it took a completely different turn. Always loved like the truth of tap, but didn't really connect to it, didn't really know. Took a couple trips to New York as a kid. I had a great teacher. I had many great teachers, but some of them didn't know and some of them knew a little bit, you know? But like I owe a lot of my foundation to Paula for sure. And then also like a lot of time with Heather Cornell. And shout out everybody who's listening to this needs to know that Heather Cornell lives in Ontario, 5 minutes away from me in Guelph. And she is underutilized. Okay, she's been here since September. She's getting her PhD in critical studies and improvisation, which is just the most inspiring thing that somebody of her mastery is earning her doctorate.
Yep.
But we have a master in our presence, and more people need to call her.
And for those of you who don't know, she was, I think, second or third of my podcast. So you can go check it out. So the people that are listening should know her.
Yeah.
Say her name.
Absolutely. Everybody should be.
And she's just been so informative also to the growth of TRI because she invested to come hang with us. She drove here from New York to sit in on our shows and teach workshops for whatever we could give her. You know, she was so invested in us growing because she's Canadian and she saw how much we wanted it and was so drawn to the fact that we actually had something going where she could come hang with us and like be who she is.
That's the first time that I danced EB. Eddie Brown's BS chorus, and I cannot listen to the tune "You Look Good to Me" without thinking of her
Me
because that's
too.
the first time I saw her solo.
Yeah. Oh, and plug Guess who's going to be our celebrated artist for our 15-year anniversary? Heather Cornell is our featured guest artist at TRI this summer, where
That's
she's
so
going to be
sick.
wearing some of Ray Brown's suite. Ray Brown was Oscar Peterson's bass player, so she's the only tap dancer that he ever wrote music for. So we get a really special experience. And she's also going to be involved in the festival. So it's a big Heather year because happy birthday, she's turning 70. So people, reach out, know who's in your backyard and get a lesson, get a conversation, really just ask questions, right? Be aware of who's around you. One of our recent posts was like honor your lineage. So the lineage is right here. Go get it. Okay, I'm sorry,
Okay.
Jules. I interrupted. It's your turn.
Pivot,
Rhythm
turn, ball
ensemble.
change. It's all good.
Mute
Back
me.
to
Mute
me.
this lady.
What was I saying?
Rhythm
Oh, just
ensemble.
rhythm
Yeah.
ensemble. Yeah. So me coming to TRI and working with everybody was my first exposure to the truth and realizing how much I didn't know. And it was funny because when I left Studioland, I was like, I want to be a professional tap dancer. And I didn't even know what that looked like.
Mm.
So I always had this kind of like idea in my brain, especially as I started to learn more about like, there are so many tap dancers that are interested in this, but maybe don't have the skills to transfer from Studioland into the professional world because it looks very different, right? And that's a much bigger conversation. And so I always had it in my mind, like one of these days I'm going to start a company, like just, some dancers, just a little passion project to help them the way that I've been helped. And it was 2016 when I came on board as a co-producer for TRI. And as Allison said, that was the first year we sold out. And the first week was like just a really magical week. They were both magical, but the first week there was something about that group of dancers. They were so interested, they were so excited. And I remember sitting in the room looking at everybody and being like, they have nowhere to go after this week. There's nothing for them to continue working this way. And part of the reason I didn't start the company earlier, because I think the idea had been in my head for about 4 years, was because I didn't feel like I was the right person to do it. I was like, there's so many people that have more knowledge that would be better to help these dancers into the next phase. And I just kind of looked around the room and I was like, nobody else is doing it. You know what? I'm just going to go do it.
Mm.
And so I like booked space, got a website up, got auditions running, put together a piece for the first TRI show in like the span of a week. I was just like, all right, let's get the ball rolling. And yeah, 2016, September of that year, I started the Rhythm Ensemble. And it started as it was originally going to be just one division, one like small company. Hey, who wants to come hang? Let's dance. I'll teach you what I know and I'll get people in that can teach you more. And then there were younger dancers that were interested and I didn't have anything for them. So I was like, okay, I guess I'll create another division. And then the next year I was like, oh, I need to create another division. And this year I created another division. So we're up to 4 divisions. This is our 10th anniversary. We're going into our 11th season, which is awesome. We have about 102 dancers and it's just a yes and
Wow.
yeah, it's pretty great. It's just a yes and program where it's like, it's honestly just where the tap nerds come to hang. Like we have people from all over. We do it on Sundays because it's the day that the most people can be available. And it's the same values of what we teach at TRI. I'm teaching them how to work with live music, improvisation, history, getting in incredible guest artists like you two, getting in Heather, And the thing that is so special about it is just the community that we've created. It's really become a really nice, like safe haven for the tap nerds and a lot of dancers who have gone through the competition stream or who are still in it where, sometimes they don't really feel like they have a place because tap dance isn't always supported in competitive spaces. So it's just turned into a really nice little tap hug.
It's not little. It's a big tap.
Well, yeah, it's kind of big. It's a big tap hug now.
What were the numbers your first year, Jules?
It was still like way better than I thought it was going to be because I had 2 divisions. I think I had like probably like 35 between the 2 divisions. I think there were
Wow.
like 50 in company and then like 20 in the younger one. Yeah, and then it like snowballed. It really.
And you don't like live around the corner from where you do it.
No, not anymore. I used to.
Yeah,
Because I
you
used to live in Milton and I booked space out there. Shout out Dance Shop. They have been so wonderful. We've been there for 10 years and they've been just such a great support system. And especially in those early days. But now I live a little bit further away. That's okay.
I know. I drive by there and I always just kind of wave when I go, There she is.
There she
Cool,
is.
man.
Yeah.
I think it's great. I mean, it's crazy how things just kind of build and grow. And I guess, if you love it enough, then you put your mind to it, and all of a sudden you wake up one day and you have these entities that have just built into this, this thing. I I think what you were talking about earlier, Toff, just about sitting down with these people. Was it once a week or once a month? I think that was really, really cool. Um, so like,
Like our interview kind of series, our Spark sessions.
yeah,
Is
I
that what
thought that
you
was really, really neat
Yeah.
because I think it helps to open up people's minds to get out of just that, like that one stream of like what they do. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
And
it's,
it helps us get like perspective from their end as well, where we're like, hey, we're not
yeah.
looking to just like steal your clients. We're not just in this for us. Like, we want to know what your challenges are. And it's been really the best thing that's come out of it has just been like being able to connect with people and build
What
on
kind of,
relationships or form new relationships. It's been really
Yeah.
cool.
what kind of
Yeah.
feedback were you getting? What were some key points that really kind of stuck in your
It
back
was
pocket? Like, shit.
so interesting because we would have like expectations that we were going to arrive at the same place, and every
Hmm.
conversation was 100% different. So we curated it to make sure that there was nobody in the same region, so everybody felt comfortable just to speak off the cuff about their businesses if they wanted to. And we also didn't do it with a why aren't you coming to our stuff? Like it had none of that vibe. We were very careful about that. And the driving force was like we just told them why we were asking these questions, and we also said like we don't want to just take from you. So if you need something from us, will you please let us know? How can we better support you if you're struggling with this or that or whatever? Um, and everyone was really open and honest, and it was really cool to see growth within the conversations. There were some people who were like, I haven't thought about this in forever because they're so caught on the hamster wheel of just making it happen for their business and their studios that they didn't even think about other things. Some people would receive our emails and not read them, or not understand Julie and I are different people, or not understand that TRI is different from the rhythm ensemble and is different from the festival. Like the umbrella of the things that we do, just even under the Toffan Rhythm Projects umbrella, that's confusing enough, and then confusing who we are because everything's aligned and it all supports each other. So
Right.
that made us really go, oh, we got to rebrand. That's why you've seen so much of our posting. And shout out to Emily Teed because she's helped us a lot with
Peter.
strategy and with like the physical actual posting because like we have way too much to do, and that's a great
So
project to
much.
have.
Also,
But
if you haven't seen our posts, go follow us online.
yes.
We
Yeah, they're
have like
super
5
slick and
accounts
clean. I
now.
like them.
Yes.
Yeah, well,
Toffan
because
Rhythm
now it's
Projects is our main guy, so go check it
that's like
out.
the directory. That's why we're calling that the umbrella. And then we're like, it's not clear if you look back to see like what are we doing, who are we, and how many different things we share and how we collaborate with others. It's just it was a mess. So now Toffan Rhythm Projects has like the directory, and you find out about more who we are and why we do what we do and what we think is important. Um, so you can get more inclined to like figure out the why behind everything. And then there's the festival page, the TRI page, the ripple effect page, and then there's other projects, but they're not um as like public, like for people to come see or for registration or things like that. They're more um outreach and community development. So that's the Creative Impact Forum. We don't have a web page for that because that's just us curating discussions and talking to people, you know? So some of the big takeaways was like when you're thinking about getting your message out there, it's very different for kids 12 and under versus 13 and over. 12 and under is selling to the parents, 13 and over is hooking the kids. So thinking about what kind of content we're putting out there and what they're going to resonate with. Um, I mean, Julie mentioned it early, like just the burnout and like draining pockets. Like we don't want to do that anymore, but like how can we think about placing importance on enrichment and not just for the students? Like they get enough. What about for the teachers? What about for the studio owner?
Yeah,
Like
totally.
what do they need? And
Mhm.
where are they finding resistance? Like what are they struggling with? Because we're not in that world of running a studio, So that was very interesting. Yeah, and then it was like a completely different conversation with musicians who are gigging a lot, and then a completely different conversation with other dance artists from lesser seen forms. So, like, how does the flamenco community work? How does Natasha run her company, Hall of Jazz, who's got a show coming up?
Mhm.
Um, how does Brandy Leary run her company? Like, there's like Nova, like, there was so many cool people that we talked to from completely different walks of life and genres and cultures within their backgrounds and their dances, and how they cultivate interest. It's all so different. So that's what we were just trying to understand is like, how do we get people excited about each other? How do we show up for each other? How do we make people actually really want to return? And where can, not necessarily can we place our expectations, because I don't think you can go into this with expectations. You just have to go into it with the trust that I know I think this is cool, so someone's going to respond. But when you talk to those like adjacent communities, it's really interesting because a lot of the times you think it's just a shoe in and like it's a no-brainer, but it's not. It's not. So the relationship building was key, I think, just because now we know. But it also it informed that session, that every moment I have on the mic, I need to say something meaningful that I know is going to resonate with the studio owner because I had that opportunity to talk to them.
Well, yeah.
Or I know that the parent needs to hear this, maybe. And we also talked to like a handful of top teachers that we're not as close with to make sure that they felt excited and comfortable and welcome to come
Yeah, I
to our
remember you telling me that. Yeah.
yeah, and what they struggle
Great
with
talk.
their studios, and studio owners and where there could be tension. Like it's just there's so much, and
You
that's
know
going to
what
be
though?
an annual project to just connect to talk about this.
Yeah, and that's why I think is so important. Like in a sense, this is why I wanted to bring you guys on because it's so cool to see that there are people out there like you guys. We're trying to provide platforms for basically teachers and studio owners to keep their fire lit. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And there's so many distractions out there that can distract you from continuing that journey. Do you guys remember, Toff? I don't know the conversation exactly how it went. It doesn't really matter. But do you remember me talking to you about, I'm doing this right now because, if I go over here, this noise distracts me from my dancing. And then when it distracts me from my dancing, everything else gets affected. Remember those conversations we had?
Oh, I feel like we have them often.
Yeah, but true. But the point is, the thing that I've learned is that, if being a dancer, whether it's a tap dancer, or whether it's a dance educator or a teacher or a studio owner, you have to be selfish enough to keep your reasoning in the forefront.
Yeah, you're
Because then
why.
everything else kind of falls into place properly. And yes, there's going to be noise and there's going to be things that happen and distractions, but it's making sure that you're nurturing that why, I guess, on a regular basis so that all that other stuff doesn't take over. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I think
Right.
this is so important what you guys are doing just to have these conversations. Go ahead, bud.
Well, just
Oh,
I was
I
just
was.
gonna
Oh,
say, sorry. All I'm gonna say is it's okay for your why to change, and I think
For
everybody needs to
sure.
hear that.
For sure it
Like your
is.
why doesn't have to look the same. Julie and I talk about this constantly, right? Like we
yeah.
need lots of different whys for it to work. If we all wanted the same thing, we'd all be competing for the same thing, and
No,
it's not
yeah.
gonna work.
No.
So and as you develop your interest over your life, and again, like we're I mean, that's midlife now, my why has
It's
changed.
crazy.
I know my why has changed dramatically. Like where we are today, I feel like I'm living my wildest younger tap dance self dream, but it doesn't look like the way I thought it would. Like I didn't
Hmm.
know I'd be the executive director of a not-for-profit organization. What are you talking
Same,
about?
man. I never thought I'd be where I am right now, 100%. Even though,
So
yeah, we're still
proud, but
we're still
like,
dancing. We're still dancing,
yeah.
but it just, yeah, I hear
It's
you.
everything I do is driven by serving tap dance. And I think that's why I feel so proud and happy and driven when I'm like, I can't see tomorrow. I'm so stressed out about this and this and this and this. But like we always figure it out. So Julie, do you want
You-
There's this great quote that I have on my phone that I always look at when I'm like spiraling a little bit, and it's I'm gonna butcher it, but it's what a blessing it is to be overwhelmed by a life you once prayed for. And I always think about
Yeah.
that when I'm like,
Wow.
this
Say
is
it
a lot.
again. Say it again.
I already forgot. What a blessing it is to be overwhelmed by a life you once prayed for. It's
Yeah.
like we're in a really
I
we're
like
very
that.
all of us are very, very fortunate, in this conversation that we're,
You're right.
we're super busy doing all the things. And sometimes we feel like our head's going to pop off, but like I'm living my wildest dreams. I didn't know that this is what it was going to look
What
like.
if you were this crazy busy and this crazy if there's stress involved, but you were doing something that wasn't you, that you
I
were doing
know.
something that you didn't love, something I didn't
Yeah.
call like
Exactly.
there were a lot of
Yeah.
people out there that you know that have that live through that,
Hmm.
their vocation isn't who they are, it's what they do. And
Yeah.
that's not how we live. That's not how the people that are hopefully watching this live. And I was having this conversation the other night with Jackson, our son. Like, he's trying to figure out his way. He's got three different jobs right now. The path that we thought he was going to take seems to be shifting. And, it's like, listen, son, as long as if it's in here and it takes you a minute to figure it out, this is first. And
Yeah.
all the other stuff will come in to play. You know what I'm saying? He's got his buddies driving fancy cars and doing all, but they work at a job that they may not love just to have that. Like that money you make, you put it away, save it, invest it. You know what I mean? So it's just it's I hate using the word training or educating or talking about listening to this, man, having the courage to do it. So that quote is deep.
Yeah,
Mhm.
man.
Yo,
And
look,
it
Yeah.
resonates.
yeah, listen, we got like 3 minutes left before we hit an hour, and I know that you got mom modes to get into. Like, do you want to talk about? Is there a 3, 5, 10 year plan? Like what's
Always. There's
cool?
always a 5, 10 year plan. There always is.
You
I'll
want
let
to share
Allison
it,
talk.
or do you want to leave it vague and let us just kind of see how it unfolds?
I mean, like, I just wrote my first operational grant to be able to get funding on a 3-year cycle. So, like, I'm well versed in talking about where I see us.
Wow. Well, I did say in the intro that Toffan is a grant writing like guru and
Savant.
savant master. So yeah, I didn't
Well,
say
that's
reach
very
out to her if
nice.
you have any problems because your plate's full enough. But
No, I can consult. I'm happy to consult.
cool,
That's one of the things we do. But
nice.
She does.
yeah, I just on that note, like I might be very skilled at it, but like here we are. Like you don't get them all. Like
Yeah.
even when you're
Yeah.
good at it, you just don't get them all, and you
Hey
have
man,
to.
when we're dancing, we don't get them all. Every time we solo, we don't get them all the time, right?
That's
You just
life.
keep on
Yeah.
going.
I think that's like the most important piece of success is failures or like quote unquote failures because they're just turns in the road, honestly. And then
Yeah.
it that leads you to a cooler discovery of how you want to reshape the future. So I
Cool.
don't know. In 5 years, I'd like Julie and I to be on salary through our organization.
Yeah.
That's big. Benefits would be nice, like all of these things, like to grow to.
But
But
as far
like
as like community-based work and helping out the community, I think you're just keep on going where you're going, eh? Keep on
I
keeping on.
think, yeah, just like more momentum. Like what's tough is because we've been project to project, just building and building, and then we just keep like turning our heads for the next thing when it's time to work on that project. And the cool thing is we're building like a staff. So it's really cool to like delegate and go and Julie saying like, I don't have time to do this. I'm like, pass it on. And me saying like, I'm overwhelmed with this. Like I've got
Yeah.
some family health stuff, so I have to delegate now, and it's
Mhm.
it's it's challenging, but it's cool for us to start trusting those that we've nurtured and trained to do some of these jobs. So like
Mhm.
I see us in 5 years being operational in a way that's a little bit more manageable so we can create maybe a tiny bit of balance in our lives.
It's
Maybe,
important.
10 years, I don't know. I feel like
Yeah, that's
those are
deep. That's far down, I
big
know.
things, but 5 is like I want ripple effect on a consistent touring schedule. Like we're moving into a macro micro model with the festival, so there'll be annual engagement, but one's really small, focused on commissions, and one's bigger. So I want, more stuff that's driven. I want to see more collaborative work. So I want to put more energy into how we can link arms with others and help other people build their audiences. So I want to find ways for just like more engagement. Like it's all bums in seats, driving interest, and not bums in seats for sales. Like it's not about sales. It's not about marketing. It's about like let's get our faces out of screens and our bums in seats and
Mhm.
our butts in chairs having conversations in community together. Let's have more reaching up to our elders and more reaching down to the young ones. Let's do this more. And we've that's been the basis of our entire being, but like more belly to belly. Let's not just know that the information's accessible online. Let's like actually go like live and breathe it and eat it together. I want to see more of that. And I want that to be normal again,
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Julie, passing it to
Ditto.
you. Ditto.
Ditto. Yeah.
I'm set for an hour. I wanted Julie to talk about just like how important it is to not all of us want the same thing. I just love how you talk about like always wanting to be an educator and discovering how you didn't want to perform.
Oh
But maybe
yeah,
that's another
Jules, totally.
podcast.
Like if you want to talk about that, or dude, that could actually be a really other cool podcast because I bet you could drop an hour on that for sure.
I
I
probably
won't be
could.
We
invited.
should do that.
Yeah, I won't be
Okay,
invited to
let's
that
do
one.
it.
We should do another. Yeah, there's no. This podcast is a conversation about what we love to do in the dance world. I would, you know what? That's actually a great idea because I think that's a really cool thing. Because I've always said to you, Legs or Jules, sorry, the nicknames pop up every now and then. I always say you gotta take a solo or because I've seen you dance, I've seen your choreography, your groove is so sick, and I owe you a duet anyway.
Yeah, we do have to get that duet going.
I owe you one, but I would love to hear you share on that, as I think that would be a really cool thing to for our audience to hear, because I guarantee there's people that are going to be in the same kind of field.
I'd be happy to have that conversation anytime.
Okay, let's not jump into it because you can't just start it and cut it short because
No,
time's up.
it's a bigger conversation.
But it's a good, yeah. Hey man, another topic. So let's wait down the road and we'll nail one more of these down. And Toff,
I
yeah,
will
come
not
sit in.
come. No, are you kidding? Well, okay, I'll listen, but
I'll just mute. I'll mute your screen.
We'll put her on mute. Yeah.
Control my mute.
Yeah,
Everybody,
but you
I'm
talk
so
from passion,
sorry.
bud. You talk from passion. Like it's not like
Yeah. I mean,
it's
it
all
all
legit.
made sense. Like you asked me a question and I answered it, but still, like this is everybody, this is where I'm at in 5 years. I'd like to learn how to like chat GPT in my ear to edit me down, without it coming out
It's okay
first.
though.
And
I
then coming
mean,
back.
no, listen, whenever I know I'm going to talk to Toff, it's a phone call or a hang, I just know that we're going to sit down and have some good time. It's quality time. It isn't like it's too much. You know what I mean? I think it's great. You have lots to share, and that's why you're here. So, yeah, man, I don't know.
Thanks, pal.
Do you guys think that we had a good chat today? You think we're good? Do you think is there anything else you
Yeah.
want to say or share? Like, I'm happy to have you guys on again. Jules will definitely like jump on
Take
that
the
topic.
spotlight.
I
Yeah.
love that.
I love being in the spotlight. It's my favorite.
But but this is how you guys roll though.
talking about that.
Even when you're on stage at the shows, that's kind of the whole gimmick of how it works. Toff, you say what you got to say, and Jules, you're like, yep.
Yep. I'm
But
the support. I'm the
Yeah,
support.
but you
I'm
say
the
a lot in other
spreadsheet.
ways, Jules. Like you say a lot, maybe not on the mic, but you say a lot in other ways doing what you do. So I always think it's amazing. I could never do what you guys do, but that's why we do what we do. You do you, and you do you, right?
But I think that's the point. Like that's what I was trying to communicate is like we can't all want the same thing, and that's where it can get rough if we're all reaching for the same goal. Like that's one of the most beautiful things about our art form is like we're all celebrated for how different we are.
And we can all help
Yeah.
each other, even though our ideas might be different. The dance world is
Absolutely.
huge. It's not just tap, it's everything. And people
Yeah.
that are watching this are going to be not just involved in tap, but this is a great perspective to bounce off of.
I wish that more forms had the value system that we built our base, like of our crew on, and I think it's awesome. Some of the feedback that we've gotten like pretty recently, I think, Jules, like of like, wow, it's so nice to see everybody just celebrating each other. And we're like, what do you mean? You don't? Like,
Like, duh.
what do you
Yeah.
mean? Like no one's fighting to be in the front. Like,
Mhm.
I'm cool.
I came off of a comp 2 weeks ago in Montreal, and the one thing that we talked about was the culture out there is really, really great. Like it's healthy. I mean, we know what comp is like. We know that everyone gets something, but if they walked out of there with nothing but their pride, they would have that to walk out with, and they supported each other. And
Right.
man, there were parents and dancers giving standing ovations to routines that weren't even from their own studio.
I love it.
Oh, I love that.
You know what I'm saying? And that's just, unfortunately, you don't get that everywhere. I always like to use this phrase, and I heard it from Denzel Washington. I feel like people focus on the awards more than their rewards of what dance can offer you. He didn't use dance, obviously, as a topic,
Yeah.
but I think about it like, they're focused on
That's
the
good.
awards, not the rewards of what this life can enrich you with. So I like to put that in my pocket. He used it in a different, obviously, aspect, but I feel like the culture in Montreal is pretty healthy. But yeah, man, I definitely agree. But that's why we're here we don't know everything. We're not the best at any of it, but we just love it. And we're just we're lifers. So we want to just kind of spread the messages out there. And I just appreciate you guys.
Same.
Same.
Thanks for having us. I think if you are working with a servant attitude, like if you are making sure that the choices that you make are good for the dance, like you got to take care of it so it can take care of you.
Right.
Right? It's an
100%.
exchange. It's a relationship, and that's in any form, right?
100%.
Yeah.
It's so important. It's so, so important because you can't fake it. If you're miserable, you can't fake it, I don't want to use like serving coffee as a alternative because that could be a great job. That's what Jackson just nailed his next gig. He's working at a coffee shop and he can't wait. He's doing like 30 hours a week. The minimum wage pay or what they're paying him is pretty good. I'm not going to lie, but he's so stoked about it. But I'm saying like, we all might have been served a coffee at Timmy's one day from someone that just did not like their job, but the coffee is probably going to taste good. Right?
Yeah.
Not that it's good or bad, but I'm saying for what we do, if you don't love it, man, and you're struggling, it'll show the energy in the room on your kids. That's why you got to keep yourself nurtured. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
Definitely.
Okay. I'm going to wrap it.
All right. Thanks for
Okay.
having us.
Guys, I love you guys so much. I'm so grateful
Love you
for everything. And I just know that, we'll be pals for life. And I can't wait to be a part of, even if you want me to be a tree on stage, I'm always going to be there.
Perfect.
Always.
I'll just drop heel drops
Like the wind.
in the background. Okay, I love you guys. Thanks for being a part of it. And Jules, we're going to catch up on that topic.
Yeah.
Sounds great.
Woo!
Yeah.
Can't wait.